Good afternoon. Quick audio visual check. Can everyone check in with a Y or an N? Let me know if you can hear my voice and see my screens. You should see a blue background that says Tacheon Warp, the power of predictive technology. And hear what sounds, at least, to appear to be an extraordinarily handsome man. If that's the case, this is the best microphone in the world. Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening. My name is Michael. I'm the co-founder and president of backtothefuturetrading.com, and it's a privilege and an honor to be here with you today exploring the possibilities of predictive technology in futures, forex, equities, and cryptocurrencies. It's an awesome opportunity in the age of technology where we have evolved past lagging indicators and all the stuff we were told in the 80s and 90s would save us. If you remember the emails, and you probably still receive them, there are products for sale with a countdown timer on the page. Deal expires in 15 minutes and 1 week. This one system with a screenshot that shows nothing but winners will save you. Look, if you had this software, you'd be trading 100 contracts in the S&P E-mini every day, new Lamborghini in the garage. And most of us are here. I know I'm here because I fell out of love with lagging indicators and failure. I fell out of love with gurus and all that came along with that, the marketing games and the marketing funnels and companies closing and reopening and renaming things and keeping track of who was getting caught with SEC violations. And it's mind-numbingly tiring. And the stuff just didn't work. Maybe some of you have had that experience today. Maybe some of you are still having that experience. And so I'm a degreed engineer. I come from a long line of people who build things to make other people's lives better and easier and safer. My partner is as well. I've been designing in an electromechanical universe since I was 22. And that was 27 years ago, I think. And we've been around for almost 13 this May with thousands of customers all over the world. It's interesting because you're all part of an experiment here today. We gave out market times and directions 2 days ago. Did you know that? We gave out predictive market times 2 days ago on Tuesday afternoon. I believe this week was early Wednesday morning. And then all of the Wednesday market transpired, all of the Thursday market is in the hopper. And today we're going to get together and see whether or not the signals did what we were expecting them to do. I'll explain how the software finds the signals so you have trust in it as opposed to a black box proprietary quote unquote indicator. We build our universe of tools on a foundation of patterns inside of chaos. When most people look at charts, they come at it with a perspective of chaotic reaction. The volume just did this. This level was just touched. This level was just breached. There were so many orders 5 seconds ago, 5 minutes ago. The volume and the momentum did XYZ 5 seconds ago. And you're reacting like someone's hitting a market tennis ball at you. When we were kids, I had a friend named Paul, and we would sneak into an apartment complex that had a tennis court. Paul lived about 5 minutes away. I lived about an hour away. And I found out that Paul practiced at the tennis court far more often than I could, and he was a much better server. And when Paul hit that ball at me, all 5'4" of his incredibly dense, powerful Italian frame poured energy into that Slazenger tennis ball, which ended up more often than not leaving bruises on my chest and legs. That's what it feels like for most of us, for most of you, trading with conventional tools sold by dishonest vendors who are probably in on the whole rigged market in some way, shape, or form. We see chaos as an opportunity to turn software and algorithms that have been algorithms that have been trained to find the patterns inside of them. We believe that markets are rigged, and the only way to beat the house is to join the house. And so week after week, I bring this example together of looking at this 15 years ago, not knowing what it was. You would assume it was maybe some forgotten Andy Warhol painting or something from your children's Minecraft game. But it is, in fact, information. And if we apply the right tool to what to the casual observer appears to be chaotic noise, we see that there are patterns inside of the data. There's information that's being communicated to people who know how to see it, to people who know how to receive it. I'm an amateur extra ham radio operator, Alpha Alpha 2 Quebec October. That entitles me to operate on any ham radio frequency available to civilians using CW, Morse code, or single sideband over voice with a microphone. And there are frequencies available to citizens where you can put a code alongside of your frequency, and only other people with that code, let's say channel 1 privacy code 6. Unless you have privacy code 6, you can't hear what I'm saying. Only people on the know are in on it. And so we're here today to see if the times and directions that a 12,000 line code, a 12,000 line piece of software found did anything useful. We're looking for an edge based on predictive times. What if you knew, let's go back to the tennis example. What if you knew where the ball would land within a foot or so? And when that ball was going to bounce off of the ground, the green concrete in front of you? Would you stand all the way to the left if you knew the ball was going to the right? Would you stand in the middle if you knew it was going towards your backhand? No, you'd probably position yourself beforehand proactively. If I know the ball's going to be over here in a couple seconds, I can prepare. I can be proactive. And as you'll see here today, that's all the difference. So Tuesday this week, early Wednesday morning, we sent out the histogram times. I'll go over them with you in a second. All day Wednesday and all day Thursday passes by, and we're here today to see if those times worked. And we're going to look at two different instances of those times. The signals in their raw, native, unrefined, unconstrained state, and then signals constrained by specific trade rules. Okay, so what am I referencing when I say any of this stuff? Michael, what web page on earth are you talking about? Okay, well, in the marketing email you received, if you're not a customer yet, I'll go ahead and paste a link to it in the GoToWebinar chat box for those of you who don't have it handy to review. This is backtothefuture.com, backtothefuture-trading.com/flux-webinar-histogram-forecasts. And when you go to that URL, you'll see that we provided the times in advance for Wednesday and Thursday. We also gave some rules out for a basic trading system. We'll go over that in a second. So as we scroll down, we see that the good associates here at the company published the E-mini S&P times for the 3 and 5 minute chart, crude futures for the 3 and the 1 minute chart, gold, the DAX, euro currency, the Dow, the NASDAQ on a 1 minute chart, euro dollar, pound dollar, Ethereum. So a nice healthy blend of futures and forex and cryptos. This also works on large timescales, equities on 4-hour charts, daily charts, weekly charts. If you're trading options with Home Depot or Alibaba, the software will work all the way out, and we'll go over some daily timescales in a moment. But as we look across here, a customer was asking me earlier, could we review the Dow? You'll see here on Wednesday morning, we had a map in time based on our presumption that markets were rigged. And so on, let's say Wednesday, because that was true, right? On Wednesday AM, normally Tuesday night, this chart was available to us. And this chart was the map of times for Thursday. Now, all the times on my chart are in Eastern Daylight Time. Thank you, Congress and the Senate, for making this thing permanent. It's really weird how that seems to be the only thing they agree upon. But I digress. Everywhere you see a blue dot or a blue line, forgive me, everywhere you see a blue line represents a time that the software was anticipating a possible selling pressure move, a move down or a stall of an up move on Thursday. And so all of these times where you see a blue line was the software telling us it had detected something. In the chaos inside of the noise, the software had determined, for one reason or another, we believe it's because markets are rigged and banks are all in on the conspiracy. These are the times lately when the Dow on a 3-minute chart are being pushed down. Okay. In a second, we'll see what happened around those times. Conversely, all of the times on the bottom of the chart are times that the software detected, not extrapolated or had a fantasy about or a vision. These are times lately on a 3-minute chart when banks or whomever are pushing the Dow higher and higher with frequency, with enough statistical regularity as to be noticed by our 12,000 lines of code behemoth indicator. Does anyone have any questions about that idea? The software finds the times lately on the time frame we're watching, where markets are being pushed up and down. Usually these times, consequently, are the times most people's trades are being stopped out. Okay, so as we come into my beloved hollowed workspace now, I'm gonna just minimize this chart for a second. We'll come back to it momentarily. Where is my Dow? There it is. I want you to notice that the times on my histogram are going to match the times on my chart. Just so you see, there is nothing up my sleeve. What do I mean by that? John Robert, can you see where it says 1506 on the histogram chart we've had since Wednesday morning? And can you see on my chart over here where it says 1506 2 days later? Okay. You can also see 1406, correct? And this is important because I want you to see that the times I published are the same times on my actual chart. The times I published are the same times on my actual chart 2 days later. So there's nothing nefarious or sneaky. There's no curve fitting or repainting of signals. That's the cardinal sin of indicators, isn't it? And so when we look at the Dow, we see from the open, there was some funky stuff going on here today. There was some really funky stuff going on. And I want to go over signals versus setup with you. Okay, what we do at the times as opposed to what we do with a signal or a setup rather. So I'm going to put this here and I want you to look with me at a couple other charts. We're going to come back to this one. And I want you to look with me at the Euro US dollar chart from this morning. And especially this afternoon, right? From the US Open, we were expecting rising prices from this time until this time, selling expectation from 1140 to 110, 110 to 140, 140 to 255, and then up until 350. Okay, that's another example of signals. Okay, as we come around the horn and we look at crude futures in the afternoon and or the morning, we can come back crude with Biden and the reserves are going to get opened and we're going to flood the market with oil. Jean Robert, I want you to look at what happened at the signal times that we've had since Wednesday. Down at 8:06, up at 8:24, down at 8:36. We're supposed to go up until 6:59. We're supposed to go down at 8:59 And then up from 906 to 927, selling pressure at 927, buying pressure at 942, and so on. Can everyone here see what's happening near these times? That's the signal. And so if we came back and we looked at the CL chart, and I tried to validate whether or not that 906 signal was predicted, I can come and reference this, and if I'm able to slide this back, see if I can get it even closer. Okay, I can't show that one. 927 would have been the next signal. There's the 927 signal above me. The 942 signal was next. So you can see, Jean-Robert, these are the signal times that I gave out earlier in the week. Okay, so now, what do we do with those times? What do we do with those signal times? We'll go over that here in a second. There's raw information, right? We can look at the E-mini NASDAQ on a 1 minute chart, and we can do the same thing, right? We can say there was a signal at 246, there was a signal at 305, there was a failed signal at 316, there was a signal at 326, there was a signal at 343, there was a signal at 348, there was a signal at 355, and right at the close, we're predicting down moves. And if we go back and look at the software, we can trace it back to the output from Wednesday morning. On the most volatile of markets, the one that's nearest and dearest to my heart. And you can see there's 305. Here's 246. Here's 316, and so on. The times all match. The times all match. And so as we go across the history of these markets, we can see there's some pretty shady stuff going on in the NASDAQ. So for example, at 1031, we see there's this double bottom stop run. We're expecting selling pressure from 1026 to 1031. And then Tom, out of nowhere, like a meatloaf bat out of hell, it goes straight up into this structural high at 1047. There's a failure at 11 o'clock to continue any higher. We'll mark that one as non-functional. But then there's a pullback into 1106. And Raj, like clockwork, down and down and down and down until when? 1138, up until 1142. And that's the structural high. Why did it fall at 1142? Why? I'm asking. Why? If markets aren't rigged and everything's fair, how are all these times appearing? Why did we drop like a rock from 921 until 936, and then people took profit? Look, there's a hook right there. And then we pulled back into 945. And Raj, why did it drop 1, 2, 3, 4 bars down? All these signals are appearing near hooks where it looks like algorithms were turned on and turned off, where commands were given to buy and sell. There's the Globex session. And here's the NASDAQ yesterday. And Tom, it's even worse yesterday, right? If we look from the open forward, can you guys see what's happening at these times? Up and down and up down, up, down, up, 1051. Why did it drop at 1051? Why? How could we know with any certainty what would happen Wednesday at 1051 in the E-mini NASDAQ? How could we know? Unless the premise of everything I'm telling you, there it is, 1051. Unless the premise of what we believe is true. Markets are rigged. There's a plan. And it didn't matter what the president said. It didn't matter what Janet Yellen was thinking about cryptocurrency. It didn't matter what your volume indicator was telling you. 1051 came. And somewhere deep inside a server rack or on a trading desk, the order was given. Sell it into oblivion. Drop it like a hot rock. So the signals seem to be appearing at highs and lows somewhere between 60 and 70% of the time. That's raw data. That's just raw signal to signal, right? That's not a trading system, but it seems like 6 or 7 times out of 10, the time we were waiting for hours, for days, for minutes, produced moves. Let's take a look at some higher time frames while we're here, because some of you are traders of an options perspective, and I want you to see the signals we've been watching for the E-mini S&P, consequently the SPY. Sure, Jean-Robert, if that's the way you want to interpret it, that's cool. Now, this is a daily chart for the S&P E-mini on the June contract. We could consequently apply this to SPY if you're watching that for options. And I want you to look and see what's happening near the times the software is anticipating these reversals. I want you to look at what's happening near the times where those long signals were expected. And then look at what's happening near the dates where the selling pressure was expected, anticipated to occur. January 13th, December 31st. Next one is April 7th. Those of you that are warp and force customers, you'll know that I use split to help identify signals inside of signals, a 33.3 and a 66.6 fib extension in between time signals. And so this reversal here will continue until April 1st, April 2nd, and then we should see things start to rise again until the 7th. But this is on a daily time frame. We can go and we can apply this to popular liquid stocks like BABA, for example. Those of you that trade with puts and calls and condors and butterflies and lions and tigers, you can see there's a selling pressure opportunity that we've known about since yesterday. An opportunity to place an option play with a put, anticipating lower prices down into May 24th. We can use this analysis on higher time frames like that for Ethereum. The last signals we were looking for on Ethereum were a long position at March 13th, ending on the close at March 27th. And that's exactly where we are right now. The next buying pressure signal occurs on April 18th, and if you're a customer familiar with the technique, you'll see there's an earlier opportunity with a smaller move inside of that on April 3rd. You did that today, Gig? Good job. Good to see you, Gig. Hope you're doing well. So Ethereum, we can do that on. My favorite guy that I used to like and now I can't stand, Mr. Musk. There was a chance for a call on March 24th. At the time, the price was at 1,012. We're anticipating that buying pressure to last until April 4th. If you had a call on March 24th, it went maximum favorable excursion, $100 in your favor. And overall, you can see that Tesla is probably one of the most manipulated stocks that I can analyze. Tremendously so. And all of the announcements that Musk makes and all of the rumors and all of the SEC crap and the tweets all seem to correspond to the dates that we were waiting for something to happen. Fascinating. The next market I can watch is Bitcoin. Actually shut that off by accident, didn't I? Is it in here or is it gone? I might have X'd it out by accident. I'm sorry. But you saw the Ethereum chart. On gold, we had a pattern 5, which is an exhaustion signal on March 9th. The bottom started here at February 7th. We were long until the close of February 28th. There was a pattern 5 right here on the 25th. I'm expecting prices to continue to be suppressed until April 4th. The next big day is April 18th. Okay, so we can apply the software to larger time frames. We can look at AMD and AMC and Home Depot. We can look at Alibaba and Amazon. Let's come here and take a look at the Euro US dollar. I'll load that chart up for us on a daily time frame. Here we go. So on a daily time frame, the trend is down, Robert, and we would be looking for selling pressure signals. Now we start talking about how do we trade this? How do we trade this? For which market, Gig? It varies a little bit from market to market. So a setup is when we apply a rules-based system to our signals. And so, Robert, my system is pretty easy. The one that I show people in the webinar, at least. We're referencing a 120 period EMA for trend. It's lagging. It's the only lagging thing you're going to see on my computer. And the stop is 1.5 average true range values away. I can adjust this distance if I want. I can make it 1 ATR. I can make it 2 ATR values. But this is a dynamic stop that expands and contracts as the market expands and contracts. And then, quite simply, we enter on the close of the signal and we exit by the opposite signal. We enter at the close of the candle and we exit by the next counter trend time, 150 pips, 130 pips. We enter at the close of September 6th and we exit by the close of September 23rd. Exit. Enter for a small loss. Enter at 11:12 and exit by January 6th. Here's a stop out. Crosses our 1.5 ATR value. And then we enter and we exit. enter, and right now we're pretty much exactly where we started, right here. So, Robert, does that make sense? We sell in the direction of the trend. Yeah, so gig, for example, I had a customer, we'll go back, I had a chart that I did for Home Depot, I think, and for one other guy. I did a chart for standby. Who was this market? This was Home Depot gig, and the settings for this chart were 3006, 3006, and then the chart that I did for NVIDIA, I did a study for a customer for NVIDIA, and the setting was 12309. 12309. So we can analyze different markets and really play with the idea that markets are rigged. I have a customer gig, he's a new customer, he's an actual farmer, and he has actual corn in his silos. And he knew with the software to look for a rise in corn prices from February 22nd until April 20th. And so he helps other farmers hedge their futures with the software now. I thought that was pretty cool. I definitely thought that was cool. Okay, so when we come back and we look for signals, there are two types of entries that we're looking for. And I want to show you specifically two that ended up working very well. First, I want to look at the CL market with you. And I'll explain to you what all of this junk on the bottom of the chart means. With all the announcements today from Biden and the National Reserves, I applied the trading system that I taught you guys in the video of the histogram page to crude oil futures. I started the study at 5 o'clock when the London session opened. I started the study when the session opened, and I left out the last two signals because I was preparing for the webinar. Okay. Those of you that have the software, you'll recognize the 4s and 5s in here, and I'm not going to go too deep into that with the new customers, but what I want you to see below is that the price or the potential profit starts getting bigger. The first trade is a $500 winner. The second trade is a $450 winner. And then we have some losers. So we go 5, 10, up to almost 1,000, 1,400, back down to 300, up to 1,500, 1,600, $2,800. And then if we continued trading in the direction of the trend, we were short from 309 until 4 o'clock for another $220. So that brings us close to 3,000. And then if you started trading again after the close when the market reopened, we had a signal at 421, and we're presently up another $410. So while we've been sitting here, we've added close to $600 to the potential equity curve. These are examples of signals in the direction of the trend. So if we were watching Ethereum, for example, we would know to look for shorts from the close of the 145 signal to 225, from the close of the 335 signal to 340. All of these times are times where we're looking for shorts from blue to white, shorts from blue to white. Does that make sense, everyone? It's a window of time that has opened historically over and over again lately. Over and over again lately. And so we're watching for those signals to produce those moves again. So in the case of the Euro US dollar chart on a 5-minute time frame, the very first signal in the direction of the trend on the 5-minute chart that we gave you on Wednesday closed at 11:40, and then Jean Robert, we get out by 1:10. The next signal closed by 1:40, and then we get out by 2:55. You see how we're doing that? We're getting in at the selling pressure signal, getting out by the buying pressure signal. Getting in, getting out. Getting in, getting out. Getting in, getting out. So the whole way down, we have windows of time that we've known about for days. And we're taking advantage of those windows. And that's the difference between a signal and a setup. How do you trade it when the time comes? Some of you use support and resistance levels. Some of you use Renko bars and range bars. Some of you use Heikin-Ashi. Some of you watch for volume spikes near these times or order flow confirmation. A lot of you, studies show that a large percentage of you use this as a secondary confirmation tool. My moving average just crossed another moving average at the time I was expecting a move up. Well, how long will that move up last? That's where things start to break down. Is it going to be in 30 seconds? Is it going to be in 3 minutes? Is it going to be in 30 hours? How long should I hold this trade? And if a trade's not working and it was supposed to at that time, and you're hanging around break even, up, down, up, down, up, down, it was supposed to go up now and it's not. Something's wrong. Why don't I close the position at a small loss and wait for the next time? Everything changes when we apply raw information to the setup. But we're looking for an edge. We're looking for an edge, something that helps us over time make more money than is lost as we apply to that edge. Imagine you have a heads or tails game and the head side of the coin is a little heavier than the tail side. Maybe there's a gram more silver on that side and it lands heads down way more often than it does tails. That's an edge. And so there are two types of signals that I told you about in the email. Number one was called a signal with trend. So if the moving average is climbing and going higher, and we have a buying pressure time, and we know when the next selling pressure time is coming, we get in, and hopefully the price is higher by the time the selling pressure signal arrives. That's called a signal with trend. Signal with trend. The next trade setup that I taught about is weirder. It's weirder. If, let's say, the trend is down and we arrive at a buying pressure time. Stay with me. And our stop line is over here. Thomas, what direction am I trying to trade if the moving average, our 120 EMA, or whichever average you use? If you even use one, some people use a VWAP, some people use a 50, some people use a 200. What direction am I trying to get in on, Nelson? Julie, what direction am I trying to trade? It's good to see you back, Julie. Down. So Thomas, when I see a buying pressure signal, let's make it green, right? Just to reinforce it. Ordinarily, that's a bad thing, right? There may be buyers now. And so what I'm anticipating is I'm anticipating it to kind of do this, right? Maybe kind of go sideways and start to break away and push up. That's what I'm hoping will happen. Well, what does it mean if we arrive at this time and Jean-Robert, it starts to peter out and move down? Are the buyers, Richard, we were expecting, are the buyers that have historically been here at this time, are those buyers potentially being told to stand down? Is that trade no longer enforced? Well, how will we know? Well, what I do is this. If a candle punctures that stop line, if a candle comes down, I'm watching all along this line. And Jean-Robert, if I see it go through that stop line, it tells me the guards who are normally at the bank have taken a coffee break. The soldiers who normally stand at the gate are on vacation. There's nobody guarding the buying signals. It's falling apart. And what I'll do is I'll place a sell limit order right on the line. And when the candle punctures it, I'll place my stop just above the puncture candle. Just above the puncture candle. Those of you that got here to the webinar early, you saw an ES trade on my charts. And so now you kind of have one of two choices. You can analyze your risk and go for a 1-to-1 risk-reward ratio. If you risked 13 ticks, go for 13 ticks. That's one option. The other option is to let the trade go until the next signal time arrives. And this trade, per the video and instructions I gave out on that webpage with all the histogram times, is called a puncture trade. Because we're going right through a floor that's supposed to be there and it's not. If we were a bloodhound and we were sniffing for buyers, as soon as it punctures that line, here in the south of North Carolina, springtime at night in the rural neighborhoods is laden with the sound of raccoons. There are guys who practice a relatively ancient tradition of coon hunting. And they take their thoroughbred bloodhounds, blue tick hounds, out at night with GPS collars and they turn them loose. And when those dogs find the scent of a raccoon, you'll hear 2, 3, 4 of them. And the hunt is on. They'll follow the dogs to a tree. They'll shine a flashlight up. They see the raccoon. They high-five each other and move on to the next trail. As soon as that line is punctured, it's telling us the buyers that were here to oppose us aren't here, at least in theory. They're probably gone. It's safe to short. And so earlier today, when the webinar just started, Melissa, can you see what I did right here? There's the short. Otis, can you see what I was waiting for? Right when that price was hit. That was a pretty big move. Okay, so if we followed it all the way to the next signal, that's $1,000 per contract. I closed out just before the webinar started, and that was about a $600 move. When we're trading in the direction of the trend, failures of the counter trend signals mean there's nobody here opposing our selling. They've stood off on the sidelines. They're gone. Does that make sense? So there's a difference. There's a difference between a signal and the setup. And now if we come back and we look at the 315 signal, John Robert, can you see how this right here might be pretty attractive if we're looking for a short? It's a setup. We're going to go short from 306 to 315 for a total of $85. And now we're watching. The dogs are hunting. My stop is right above this candle. Is it safe? I don't smell any buyers. All right, well, how long do we hold it? Until the close, right here. That's a $189 move. And the best part is, you knew when. You knew when the trade was coming. You knew when to watch for the short. And you knew how long to watch it for. I have a window of time that extends from my entry until the close. I know when that time is. And when the trade goes the other way, I don't have to take a short. The buyers were here at 239. They were there. Can I short? No, you shouldn't short it. There's buyers all over the place. Oh, yeah, smell them. I can smell them. They're everywhere. Oh, yeah, I don't need buyers. No shorting. When can I short? 306. You can short at 306. Knowing the times in advance gives us an edge. And over a period of time, that edge is more profitable than it loses. And it brings to bear a question. I asked myself this question years ago when we started the company, when we believed banks were rigging this because 90% of people were losing 90% of their account in the first 90 days. We were one of them. We were one of them. We lost $50,000 in 36 hours. Yeah, I almost never spoke to my best friend again. My wife found me crying in my closet. Broke me. Absolutely smashed me. How did this happen? We took a $15,000 account to $55,000. And Ian, we lost 50 of it. It took us 3.5 months to get there, and then we lost 50 of the 55 in 36 hours. following the way the gurus told us to do what we do, following what the lagging indicators were telling us, following the talking heads on TV. Trading is not about the past. And that's when we learned this is not what we thought it was. There are people in power who run this game like a casino. There are people in power with suits and ties who walk into buildings with bank names and decide the fates of millions of people all over the world every day. They take advantage of rising home prices. They price new buyers out of the market. They rent them the house for twice what a mortgage payment was 2 years ago, 2 months ago. They sell the same homes to people with a rising interest rate at the top of the market, and then they short the housing index all the way down. All the way down. They did it in 2008, 2009. They're doing it again. Don't think they didn't all have a whisper and a secret phone call in the middle of the night when it came time to start shipping Javelin missiles to Ukraine. You don't think these guys get a little buzz on a burner phone? Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, Pratt & Whitney, on and on and on. Hey, Boeing, you're going to have to make a lot of planes soon. And I'm pretty sure there's something going on with the yachts. I'm pretty sure there's something going on with all these yachts that are being seized. I haven't figured out yet, but I will. You have to follow what they do. You have to track them. You got to look inside the slot machine and study the code and understand that lemon cherry comes right before jackpot, jackpot, jackpot. It's not random. 90% of people can't lose all of their money every day if it's a coin toss. Think about that. Half the people should be winning, half the people should be losing. And it's not. It's not 60 or 70 or 80. It's over 90% of people who sit down and go, I know what it's going to do. Have to explain to their spouse where Billy's college fund went. They have to tell little Susie, little Ashlyn, there'll be no Disney trip this summer. Daddy's stochastic was oversold and it stayed oversold for 14 days. And he bought it and he bought it and he bought it. And Jim Cramer said to get in on the stock right before it went the other way. And Goldman downgraded such and such and it went straight up and he doesn't know what happened. But it's gone. It's all gone. This is what I believe. It's what I believe. Those with the gold rule. Every day people wake up and they go, my stochastic says this. My fancy indicator thing says that. It touches this level, it has to go up. The guy in the webinar said so. That level was valid last week. It's not valid anymore. You're in the past. How many of you remember that scene from Lion King when Rafiki says to Simba, after hitting him in the head with a stick, he said, it can't hurt you, it's in the past. He said, it hurt when you hit me. We were tired of getting hit in the head. We were tired of getting hit in the head by huge sticks. No more. If you want to know when the price of corn is going up, ask the question, what are Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan doing? If you want to know when the price of gasoline or oil is going up or coming down, ask the question, when does Deutsche Bank push the market higher and lower? It's not really hard conceptually, right? Is it? Is it hard to kind of conceptualize that idea that, hey, we should follow the people who rig this thing? JP Morgan, we did the math one year. They pay $1 in fines for every dollar that they make. Here's crude futures on a daily chart. Crude futures on a daily chart. If you're a customer at home, these are the settings that I'm using. It's a 3000 with an 8 swing strength. A 300 with an 8 swing strength. If you want to see more of the smaller moves, change your swing strength to like a 5. Gig, does that look like a random market to you? Does that look like we have no idea what the Saudis are going to say when Biden calls them? We have no idea what ExxonMobil's thinking. We have no idea what BP's going to do. No. It's a game. It's a game. The markets go up, the markets go down, and nobody knows what we'll do, but tomorrow's important, it is. Stop, runs, up we go. Happens all the time. If you change the way you assume things work, if you change the way you assume it works, if you believe like we believe that there's a wizard behind the curtain who does not and never has had your best interests at heart. And you see what we've shown you here today, proven with forecast times that were 2 days old, 2 weeks old on the larger time frames. Then things will start to come into focus when you ask yourself the question, why is this so hard? I would challenge you, take 10% of your retirement account right now and fly to Las Vegas. Read 10 books about blackjack on the plane on the way out there. And try to walk out after playing blackjack for a day with more money than you made. Try to walk out with more money than you made. None of us would do it. No one. Maybe one of you are crazy enough to try. I look at a few names here today, and I'm pretty sure at least 1 or 2 of you would give it a shot. And yet, you all line up, those of you without this software, you line up, ready to go, caffeinated, fresh perspective every morning. And you tell yourself, this is the day. I'm going to do it. You're not going to do it. You're not. Today is not your day. The settings for the ES Mariana were 9000 with a swing strength of 5. There you go, Jerry. Jerry, you're allowed to do whatever you want. Jerry, if you want to put whipped cream in your macaroni and cheese, I will serve you up a bottle of Cool Whip on your craft, brother. You want to go to Vegas? I will drive you. You survived brain cancer, dude. You tell me to put it all on red. Watch how fast that hand comes out of my pocket. You win. You absolutely win. Yeah, 714. I'm sorry, 9000 with a swing strength of 5. And if you want to see more signals, Mariana, change it to a 3, and you'll see even more signals in between the other ones. But I like to keep it at a 5. All right, we're coming to that fun conclusion. Where I tell you what you've been looking at and how you can get it. The name of our company is called backtothefuturetrading.com. Sort of tongue-in-cheek naming in response to the popular movie starring Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd. I actually have a signed movie poster about 8 feet behind me on the wall, authenticated and everything. Leah Thompson. It's one of my favorite possessions. Everyone but Crispin Glover, who's a little... And the program that we're referencing, Donald, is our flagship product, the Tacheon Warp program. Tacheon Warp is by far and away the #1 program people buy from us. It's the most popular one. If you look in your GoToWebinar chat box, you'll see a link to this page. Donald, will you tell me if you see that link? Mike, is it there? Otis? At the very bottom of that page is a Willy Wonka sized golden ticket. It says buy now. Don't look at that price. Don't look at it. Don't look at it. I want you to see two things first. Number one, if you click that link, there's a very annoying pop-up. We all hate pop-ups, right? I do. But this has some important information. We have a training room. That training room meets Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday every week. And if you'd like to see what goes on in that training room, we've been publishing the live setups. Those of you that are here and you're not a member of Ron's training room, there's a link to the YouTube page where that live training room exists. And Ron actually shows setups in the market, explains the entries and the exits in the most popular futures markets. They apply to all time frames, all markets. You can look at Dogecoin or the crude futures. It's all the same stuff. It's all the time. If you haven't gone there yet, search for us on YouTube, Back to the Future Trading, all one word, and you'll see recordings of prior videos, recordings of live market demonstrations and live setups in actual markets. All of that's there for you. But if you want that kind of classroom environment where someone's holding your hand and explaining what's happening and getting everybody ready and prepared for the next time, that option is available to you today for 25% off. It's $149 a month. This is not something where I can promise you a return on that every month. I'm not allowed to promise you anything. Everything is hypothetical and probabilistic, right? There's risks for trading. We covered that in the disclaimer. But make an assumption based on what I've shown you here today about that investment, right? Maybe you could make that assumption. If you're that kind of person and you need that, it's there. If you don't want it, you do your own thing. You don't need any training but the stuff we give you when you sign up. Go to the checkout without the training room. No problemo. This is the purchase agreement. We remind you, you don't use a computer from 1917. It's not going to work. If something's broken, we're going to fix it. The code is thoroughly debugged. There are no issues. It's being used successfully. People all over the world. And I have to mention this, especially in light of the Will Smith slap. If you are abusive with anyone on our staff, nice people, we have salt of the earth associates. One in particular, her name is Rachel. Every place she walks past sprouts flowers and daisies and lilies. The nicest woman I've ever met. If we find out you were abusive or hostile with anyone on staff, we're finished. Get a refund via con Dios, Senor Smith. Bye-bye. Okay, we have to list this stuff now. The world we live in is crazy. Some of you are crazy. not you, the other guy. So that's our purchase agreement. And now, if you put the promo code lowercase WARPOFF and you hit apply, we do that weird thing that other companies do. We take money off at the webinar because you've endured my shenanigans and ramblings now for an hour. So if you apply the promo code WARPOFF, one word, lowercase, it takes $500 off of the price. You're going to get 2 computer licenses. You want to share one with your wife? I don't care. You get 2 licenses. Do whatever you want. Donate one to the Salvation Army. You get free installation. You're going to get free white glove training. Just assume we're wearing the white gloves. Don't ask for proof. That generally takes somewhere between 60 and 90 minutes to get you up to speed on all of the basic and intermediate functions of the software. Will help you build your charts, set them up, dial them in for the markets that you trade. If you trade corn or notes, if you trade the euro dollar or the ruble peso, we'll help you get it all locked in and set up. Okay, there's also free video training, that's for life. You're also going to have free updates on the software forever. That's grandfathered in. That'll probably change this year because everything's more expensive than it used to be. Watch for some price increases here shortly. And a Trustpilot rating of 4.8 out of 5. I think we're still at a 4.8. We just had another 5-star review from a new customer. If you want to check us out, we have 78 reviews, and we're 4.8 out of 5. We have an excellent rating. We can't control who posts and who doesn't post. We can't control taking posts down. If someone writes a review, that review stays there. All of these people are credit card carrying customers with actual receipts. And if that's important to you, you can take some time, check us out on trustpilot.com, Back to the Future Trading, and you can get a sense of what people here have experienced with the software. And this guy in particular is my favorite, Thomas. He says he likes me. That's all I care about. I'm a people pleaser. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much, Julie, to make me happy. And so those are the kinds of things that I'm hoping are important to you. If that's what you're looking for, we can get you started right away, get you the recordings afterwards of your install so you have them saved and you can go back and watch them. Any questions about the offer? Warp off, one word, lowercase, takes $500 off. We do not have live training rooms. John Robert, you are infected with COVID variant. I don't even know what number and letter anymore. Keep your nasty far, far away. That's a joke. That's sarcasm. Our main offices are out of our residences in I'm in East Bend, North Carolina. My partner is in Thomasville. If you do want to meet personally for training, there is a hotel in Lexington. We can rent the training conference room out. It's a kind of 14 by 14 area with a conference room and a big TV. We can meet you live there. If I start bringing customers to the house, some of you are rather attractive. It raises suspicions in my marriage. I've been with my wife for over 30 years. Don't need that heat right now. Who was that? A customer. Mm-hmm. Don't need that. So I'd love for you to get started and get set up. I'd love for you to become a customer. Julie, you're here, and I'm just going to ask, you wrote something. When are we going to dance? You keep coming and keep telling me tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes and goes and you ghost me like an Instagram DM. I wait for you in front of the club with a margarita and all the ice melts. Julie? She's coming. I rented a Tesla tonight. Never happens. So maybe let us know. Maybe let us know. You told me you would buy and then you didn't. I have one rule in life that I follow, and we follow it here. And when you don't follow it, we become highly suspicious of you. DWYSYWD. Does anyone know what that stands for? Well, don't come to the webinar until later then. Yep. That's the worst one. That's sin number one where I come from. If you say that and you don't get to come hear my voice anymore. So for those of you willing to move forward, that's how we're going to do it. You have the link. There'll be a recording sent out, and we'll get you set up and on your way. Tacheon warp is the answer to the question, why do 90% of people fail? Why aren't they doing better than they are? What will the market do 5 minutes from now, 5 days from now? How long should I stay in this trade? If the trade's not working, how do I know it's run out of time? All of those questions are available to you right now. The answers tomorrow will come, and these times are available. 6, 7 out of 10 times you can know, uh-oh, here comes the stop run, here we go. Uh-oh, here comes the breakout, here we go. And people come back to the webinar time and time again, and they say funny things, and they try to make it not so serious, but it's very serious. Why would you trade without this if you knew that it was possible? We've proven it in a way that no other vendor, no other trading company can with their lagging indicator garbage. We gave you the times 2 days in advance. We gave you a trading system for signals that didn't exist yet. We came by 2 days later and we saw $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $3,600 in potential profits from the London Open to the New York close on a day that oil was supposed to be bananas and completely unpredictable. Entries in the ES that went $600, $700, $800, $900 in the direction of the short, and we knew exactly when the buyers stepped away. Why would you not want to know that moving forward? Seems self-sabotagey to me. To get it set up today, you sign up using the link, Donald, that I gave you, that Tacheon Warp link. You use that promo code. As soon as that comes through, what you can do, if you want expedited service to help me get over my broken heart with Julie, you can email me personally. If you forward your receipt, Donald, to me, I will make sure you get set up today. Donald, you are my shining star. Don't you go away. That's how you do it. Michael at Back to the Future. Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, Back to the Future, singular like the movie, trading.com. And we'll make sure you get all the information to get going. I love you all. I appreciate you. Thank you for allowing me into your homes. I'm a little longer than I used to be. And I know that I've overstepped that 1 hour limit. So thank you again. Now may the wind be at your back. May the sun shine down upon your glorious, beautiful, COVID-free faces. May the valleys rise up to meet you on your journey this year, 2022. And may the mountains of adversity and obstacles before you fall down and crumble as we walk forward in the future together. I wish you joy and peace and health, no anxiety, opportunities, fellowship and friendship. These are the hopes that I have for myself, for my friends and family, and as an extension of those for you as well. I look forward to working with you. If you're a customer, thank you for your time and your support, for your reviews and your never-ending interest in why the markets move the way they do. We will not stop until everyone on earth has heard how rigged the game is and how we're taking a different approach to helping you be more profitable. Have a great night, everyone. Take care. We'll see you soon.